What's up, y'all? Welcome back to your new favorite podcast, The Misplaced American. I'm your host, Justin White. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a background on who I was and why I started the podcast. Uh, I think it's pretty interesting. I think I've had a pretty unique life for someone being aware from where I'm from. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, a very, very small town. And I grew up, I guess, feeling like I didn't really fit in. I always wanted to be like this person or doing this kind of thing. I don't want to get into detail about it now, but I've always had like this like creative like mindset and this creative ideas. And I used to get kind of, I felt personally I was bullied growing up. So I kind of, it wasn't until high school I kind of just branched out and became like this like social, like charismatic guy who I made myself. I told myself like the summer of going into high school was like, I will not be this weird little kid that constantly gets picked on and bullied. I remember I was doing 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every single night just to make sure I was just in shape in case something had to happen. I was still getting bullied by girls, but you know. But yeah, I remember I got into high school and my whole world just changed. Like I remember looking like at in the classrooms and at the people, and just everyone dressed so differently and looked so differently. And at the time, we had school uniforms. They were just implemented, so for people to I guess look different was hard, but we did it. You know, I think it was just like khaki pants and like blue shirts. But everyone had a different style of blue shirt, or they ended up changing the dress code later in the year to the point where we could wear any kind of collared shirt or any kind of like khaki or dress pants. And I started like dressing out. I started wearing like suit and tie to school, or I'd be really, really different and wear like a tie with a short polo, and just kind of I found out I like to stick out. I like to stand out. I like to be different. And and it wasn't until I want to say my 11th grade year, 10th going 11th grade, my parents paid for me to go on this trip with this group called People to People. Did that, and it was my first time actually leaving my hometown. Like in like 16 years of my life, I've like never left my hometown, and I kind of realized the world was so much bigger than like Washington, North Carolina, like this small little town on the map. And that was for someone that's been my whole life. I've always wanted to be a new kid. I've always wanted to be that person that just had the opportunity to go see something different, do something new, and I just never had the opportunity. And so, like, for my parents do that for me, I'm so grateful because I remember we started in Italy. It was Italy, Germany, Switzerland, France, and Austria. Yeah, and for like just to see I always had a dream when I was a kid. I wanted to see the Sistine Chapel or the Statue of David, and I don't know what kid dreams of that, but I've always wanted to see it. I thought it was so cool. I thought it was so cool to be able to see those things on TVs and movies and read about them in books, but no one's ever, you know, I mean, in my family, no one's seen those things. So for me to go see those things, it was mind blowing. I saw, the Notre Dame or Notre Dame and just all these beautiful things when I was traveling overseas. I did a homestay in Germany. I stayed with a random family that I've never never interacted with, never seen before in my life, and that was just it was such for a small town kid that was such a big thing, and that just opened my eyes to the world, and that made me that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be a traveler after that. Uh, yeah, I graduated high school and a couple like a year or so later, and moved to. I went to college or university. British people call it, but Americans call it college. I went to a community college for like a year, and some things happened in my town. It was just super small, and my town's one of those places where if you don't move out by the age of 18 or like 19, you're kind of like I don't want to say stuck, but you're kind of just in this place where it just kind of sucks you in. So after 1 year of college or university, I just told my mom I'm moving. I'm moving to this random. I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. It was this like random city where, well, it's the capital of North Carolina, but it's just a city I don't know anyone. My aunt lived on the other side of this city. I didn't have any relatives near me. No, I had no friends. I moved to this random place, got an apartment, and started this college by myself or university by myself. I went to Wake Tech, and that was probably the best thing I've ever done in my life. Uh, it forced me to make new friends, put me in a new environment, and if anyone's or if no one's ever had the opportunity to just stop what you're doing as a young person, stop what you're doing, and just try something completely new, and like know just kind of knowing maybe if you fail, you might have your parents or someone to fall back on, but knowing that if you have to go back, you have to start all over again. If you have the opportunity to just stop and do something completely new, and then take that risk, do it. That was the best thing I've ever done in my life. I found a job at a bar. I worked at a clothing store. I, I just did so many things. I went to I went to college. I did the acting classes. I wanted to be an actor so bad. I wanted to be in theater. I wanted to like sing and dance on stage for people. I love being in front of people. I'm such a charismatic. I'm an extrovert. So for me to be by myself a lot is really hard. I love being in front of people. I love talking. I love just being friends. It's literally anyone around me. Like if I'm in a group of people and someone isn't talking, I'm the one who walks in like, what's wrong with you? Like, can you talk? Like, what's wrong? Do you not like me? And I can be a lot. Like, and people tell me that I'm a lot. But yeah, like after that, I kind of just hit another point where my best friend Lance decided he wanted to join the military, and I was like, you know what, man, good for you. And he was like, you should come join the military too. And I was like, no, I'm good. I always said like I'm not joining anyone's military. I'm not that guy. And he was like, I'm joining the Air Force. Long story short, I made it. He did. I made it in. He didn't. So thanks, Lance. He left me alone. But he just kind of stopped doing it, stopped pursuing it to do other things. Which by the way, I'm proud of him for what he's doing now. But I ended up joining the military. Yeah, and I immediately did my like eight. It was like a culture shock. I went from having my like, and it was like overnight almost. Literally, my recruiter called. I was in like recruitment for like maybe a couple weeks, maybe not even a month, maybe. And the recruiter called me one night, and he was like, "Hey, some guy dropped out. Would you want to leave tomorrow?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And I still have a job. I don't know anything about the military at this point. I literally just signed up and got approved for. I can't remember what the job was at the time, but some maintenance job. And I was like, I don't. What am I gonna do? He's like, oh, you'll go in as this open field, and they'll just pick a job for you when you get to a certain week. And I was like, okay, why not? And that was one of the another like big trigger in my life was like I was like I'm becoming this guy who just says, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna do it. So I did it. I called my mom and dad that night. I was like, hey, come to my apartment, clean it out. I'm leaving for boot camp tomorrow. And so yeah, I remember I'll never forget the day I got on the bus. We were driving to tech. We were driving through boot camp to boot camp. We get through the gate, and they go, and this guy gets on the bus. The security forces guy, and he looks at us. He's like, "Oh, fresh meat." He's like, "Well, have fun. Hope you guys enjoy it." And I just go, "Is that a joke?" And everyone looks around. Everyone turns around and go, "Shh." and and I was like, "Oh, well, this is about to be a long 8.5 weeks." And I just remember everyone throughout the weeks, like calling their mom, crying, calling their mom and dad, their parents and relatives and loved ones, crying like, "I just miss you so much. I wish you were here," and all those things. And I just remember for like the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I thought we were supposed to have a phone, and I don't think I ever called my mom for the first like 2 weeks, maybe 2 3 weeks. And one day somebody and my recruiter saw me sitting in the corner, like just I think I was like cutting strings in my uniform. And he's like, White, did you call your mother? And I was like, sir, I don't remember the reporting statement. I don't have a phone. But yeah, and so yeah, I made it those like months of training, and then I went through more training to become a mechanic on aircraft, and I immediately moved to Italy. Like after like 6 or 7, I'm not sure how long. I don't remember how long it was. It was back in 2011. But yeah, I moved to Italy, and I spent I was 20 years old at the time, and I moved to Italy, and culture shock again because I went from being able to uh, speak American to anyone, go anywhere I want to, drive where I want it. I'm now in this country where they all only drive a stick shift. Uh, People speak English, but it's really broken. So you have to either slow down what you're saying or really, really listen or try to pick up on context clues of what people are saying. Uh, just even like how you said hello and how you interact with people is like how Americans come off sometimes can seem really abrasive because we're really just loud in your face people, especially where I'm from in the States. Everyone's kind of loud in general. But yeah, my whole adult life after that, essentially, I've just lived overseas since I was 20 years. I'm 29 now. Overseas is not in America. I've lived in the yeah. I love it. I absolutely I adore traveling. I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine spending my 20s in the States. I think I've spent in the last nine. I think I told my mom when she came to visit. In the last 9 years, I spent 1 year in the States, and that's I think that's one of the reasons why it, like kind of like opened this like wanderlust like spirit inside of me. Like I never forget my friend Trey. I was in Italy. And I was there for maybe the first almost a year. I just didn't leave the like local area. I was so just kind of anxious and like nervous, and I was like, I don't want to spend money, and I don't want people not to like me. I don't know what's out there, And I had this kind of fearful spirit. And my friend Trey, shout out Trey, he he in his he's from Boston. From in his aggressive northern way, kind of told me I was being lame and being weird. And just dude, just come out. And he took me out partying and clubbing. We went to other countries, and then I started meeting around his friends and other maintainers, and we all just became really really good friends. And we all just traveled every chance we got. And and they kind of showed me like and this isn't for everyone. I would never recommend what I did, but I ended up being in debt because I was just all I wanted to do was just travel and see stuff, and I didn't care. I was pretty much putting more money out than I was bringing in. But in my mindset, it was, oh, I'm getting paid every X amount of weeks. It's fine, and so yeah, it just became this fun thing to just constantly do new stuff. Like I remember my favorite trip when I was living in Italy was I went snowboarding in the Alps. And how many like 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds can say, "Oh, I was in the Alps and snowboarding for a whole weekend with my best friends." Uh I spent my 21st birthday in Spain. Things like that. Is who like what young adult can say that? And if and that's how I saw it. I saw it as I don't want to save for retirement. I don't want to save for to do things in my 50s when I'm doing my 20s now. Like I want my grandkids and my kids to know like I had a great time. Um, but yeah, and so I moved from there. I moved to a little little island called Guam, and that was another shock because I went from this huge continent in Europe where I could just drive to Germany, drive to Spain. I mean, drive to Spain, drive to Switzerland, drive to Austria, to this country where, well, not even country, but it's technically Guam is America, but if you've been to Guam, it's different. It's like a small, small, small island. I mean, when I say small, it's like if you think you're small, your hometown is small, think smaller than that. And that's just then you're stuck there. Like you're surrounded by water, 360 degrees surrounded by water. So there's nothing you can do besides be on this island and know everyone. And it was fun. It's a tropical island. It was beach. So for the first year, it was like, oh, this is great. Like I love being in Guam. It's this. I'm in this beautiful island. It's I can barbecue every day. I can beach every day. And there's this line in this movie called Vampire from Brooklyn where he says, "If every day is a sunny I what's a sunny day?" And I kind of reached that point around my year and a half mark in Guam. It was kind of like, oh my God, I'm ready to go. I'm sick of hikes. I'm sick of the sun. I'm sick of being like crispity, crackety black. You know, like I was tired of it. You know, I was sick of seeing the same people every single day. You couldn't every time you went to a club, you saw the same people. You went to a restaurant, you saw the same people. It was just everyone knew everyone's business, and it was just it was looking back. I probably could have stayed longer, but I will say the best thing that happened to me was I ended up meeting my wife there, and from there I came back to America and spent my year or so in America. Uh, that's when I got out of the military. I decided I was like, this isn't for me. Um, and I ended up moving with my best friend Nicole. Shout out Nicole, uh, in Vegas, and I had a great time there. I've never been to Vegas before, and we would just go out to pool parties and hang out. Well, we would go out to eat. We would gym together. She's such a good power lifter. Um, at Nicole Snickerdoodle on Instagram if you want to check her out. She's an amazing power lifter. But yeah, she's and so like we would just go live together, and like it was just so much fun having your best. You think about living with your best friend in Vegas to just go. Oh, let's go to a pool party this weekend. Let's go just drink tomorrow, but then we can gym all day the next day. And that's what it was. Living with your best friend and going to the gym, cooking dinners, cooking meal prepping, and then like that was it. That was my life, and then that was and so my wife finally left Guam, and we kind of got together and came to the UK, and that's kind of currently where we are. And I love it. I love the UK so much. I'm really big on consistent weather. North Carolina has the most inconsistent weather in history, I think. It would literally snow, and then 2 hours later it'd be 70 degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius. If you're British, I'm sorry. Use Google. Uh, but yeah, I absolutely love the UK. I think the UK is great. But the biggest thing was for me coming here was just becoming a dependent rather than a active duty military member. That is no one talks about it enough. I don't think, especially being a military, being active duty military, like a guy, and then having a female spouse or having a spouse that's a woman, and becoming, I guess, second in command, and I guess in your household, and like if you're going off gender roles, I'm going back to like the 30s, but it's kind of but it's you don't people don't think about it, but it is kind of emasculating. And people joked about it. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna be a housewife, this and that." And I joked, like, "Oh, I'm gonna love it. I got a sugar mama," but it subconsciously takes a toll on you. Um, Role reversal is because society puts so much emphasis on like men need support and women need to do this, or I'm not gonna put people in bubbles, but that's what society tells you, and so that's how I've always thought. But and it wasn't no one's at fault for thinking that way. It's just something that's drilled into your head. In my parents' household, it's kind of how it was. My dad was this super hard worker. My mom worked hard too. Don't get me wrong. I love my mom. She worked super hard, but like she was always home first, and she always made sure we had food, we had dinner, we were in bed on time, we got up for school. And my dad was up and leaving the house before I got home, and he was coming home late, right before we went to bed, and because he worked so much, and that's how it was. And they lived off the Bible, saying, men that don't work don't eat. And so for me to come into this role where I'm this house husband essentially, it it kind of it hurt a little bit, and not in like I'm gonna cry kind of way. It was like my ego, my pride. So like I was trying to do odd jobs here and there. I was constantly trying to keep myself busy, doing school, getting my degree. I got my bachelor's degree, in nutritional science. Can't use it really in the UK because the UK and the US have different food regulations and standards. But it was it was hard. It was definitely one of the biggest things I have. I think another big thing in my life that I had to kind of get over was knowing that, hey, you're not that I'm not in charge. You're not the the boss of the household. Like, you can say things. I help pay bills. I help do this. I help do that. But overall, she's the reason you're here. She's the reason you're able to have this house. She's the reason your dogs are here. Like, she's the breadwinner essentially. So I just kind of to swap over from the big boss to support role was, or from independent to support role was, it was hard. But I do think that's all I'm gonna get into today. It's just a kind of a brief background on me. I hope that was pretty interesting. I hope that you learned a little bit about me. I plan on doing at least maybe one independent episode every so often. Every then I'm gonna bring in guests as well. But this is the Misplaced American. If you enjoyed this, if you like hearing me rant on about my boring, or if you think it's interesting life, please give me a follow on Instagram at the Misplaced American, or Twitter at the Misplaced One. Yeah, this was fun, and I hope you guys subscribe, follow, go to YouTube, look for the Misplaced American. Give us a follow. Give me a comment. If you have any questions about my life, anything you're curious about, or if you're like, if you're a depender guy, and you're actively a military man, and you feel like you're about to go change over into the role of dependent or depender, if we call it in the military, and you're kind of curious about it, give me a shout. If you're moving overseas, and if you're American about to move overseas, or you're curious about travel, send me a comment, send me a link, and yeah, I'll link back to you. But that's all I have time for. So y'all have a good night, good day. Enjoy your work, make good choices, and be blessed.